One of the most human moments in American Graffiti was filmed in the last available minutes of darkness, immediately after the crash sequence wrapped, with no rehearsal and one instruction: be hysterical. George Lucas spent years fighting to get 3 scenes back that Universal cut without asking. After Star Wars gave him leverage, he won. Every version released since is his cut, not theirs. American Graffiti, 1973. The film Lucas called his better work, not Star Wars. This one. 16 more facts about what it cost to make, what it set in motion, and why he never stopped fighting for it. Fact 1. Lucas paid local car owners $25 a night to show up and drive, pre-1963 vehicles only. Between takes, they kept their engines running and their windows down. The set stopped behaving like a production. People raced the strip while the crew reset. The energy didn't shut off when the cameras did. What looks like production design is partly just what happened when the right people showed up in the right cars. Fact 2. Lucas wrote every scene to a specific song before the script was finished. He would put a 45 on the player, let it run, and shape the scene to the track's rhythm. The scenes don't feel cut to the music because they were written inside it. Universal pushed for a cheap replacement score. Lucas refused. Coppola backed him. The final cut used 41 tracks at a licensing cost of roughly $80,000, 10% of the entire budget. If the radio goes, the film goes. Fact 3. Lucas stopped trying to control everything after midnight. Real teenagers started appearing near the edges of the set, drawn by the cars, the noise, the lights. Locals watched from parked vehicles on side streets. At certain points, nobody was sure who belonged to the production and who had simply joined the night. The crew stopped checking. Lucas had wanted the town to feel alive after midnight, and the town cooperated. Some of what is on screen is performance. Some of it is just what was happening on that street at 2 a.m. Fact 4. Lucas kept every take where something went wrong. The Vespa crash, the water balloon that hit Mackenzie Phillips in the face, the fumbled bottle catch. None of it was in the script. The Vespa hit a trash can and died. The actor waited for cut. Lucas wasn't cutting. He told him, "It's great, we're keeping it." A water balloon aimed at the window beside Phillips hit her in the face. She laughed. He kept that too. Real things leak through in ways performance can't replicate. Fact 5. Wolfman Jack wanted to remain invisible. His entire legend depended on nobody knowing what he looked like or where he broadcast from. He was actually transmitting from a station in Mexico, just across the border, powerful enough to reach most of North America. Lucas had grown up hearing the voice through static on AM, never sure if it was real. He persuaded Wolfman Jack to appear as himself. After the film, the mystery ended. Wolfman Jack became a national celebrity. The movie that used his voice as its spirit also ended the illusion the voice had always depended on. Fact 6. Universal wanted to change the title. They generated a list of 60 alternatives. Coppola's suggestion was Rock Around the Block. Other options included Burger City and Another Slow Night in Modesto. Lucas understood what the title meant. Kids leaving marks on a town for one last night. Emotional graffiti. A memory that doesn't wash off. He held the title. Universal released the film they didn't trust and watched it prove them wrong. Fact 7. Suzanne Summers' character has no name in the credits. She is listed as blonde in T-Bird. Lucas had planned to make her briefly transparent, a signal that she was a figment of Kurt's imagination. The budget killed the transparency shot before it could be filmed. What remained was a nameless woman in a white Thunderbird who appears at the edge of the frame and vanishes without explanation. The audience projects the mystery themselves. The studio's budget constraint accidentally produced a more interesting scene. Fact 8. The emotional ending of the film was improvised in the last available minutes of darkness, shot immediately after the crash sequence finally wrapped. When the crash finally wrapped, the sky was already changing. Lucas called the actors back. Be hysterical. One direction, no rehearsal. Howard and Williams improvised while the light lasted. The ending that feels most human was the one they had the least time to make. A car town rebuilt with locals. A crash ending stolen from Dawn. A title the studio wanted to bury. A voice that became famous by showing its face. Up to here, how the night was made. From here, what the studio did to it, and what it set loose. Fact 9. Lucas's first cut ran 3 hours. He edited it down over months. The studio then removed 5 more minutes, 3 complete scenes, without his agreement. The cut scenes: Ford singing at a party, Steve confronting a teacher, a long gag after a fender bender. Lucas hated the cuts. After Star Wars changed his leverage, he forced Universal to restore them. Every version released since contains the scenes the studio pulled. The studio's version no longer exists. Fact 10. American Graffiti made Lucas a millionaire. He set aside $300,000 of those earnings as independent development funds for his next project. Every studio passed on that project too. That project was Star Wars. The A New Hope trailer introduced Lucas as the man who brought you American Graffiti. At that moment, the coming-of-age film still defined him. The franchise that followed became the largest in cinema history, seeded by a $775,000 film about teenagers driving in circles. Fact 11. Happy Days had already existed as an unaired pilot for 2 years when American Graffiti was released. The pilot had been rejected in 1971. ABC ordered the full series 5 months after American Graffiti opened, citing its success as proof that audiences wanted this world. Howard played the same character on Happy Days for 10 years. Williams starred in Laverne and Shirley, a spin-off. Both shows ran for most of a decade. One film set over one night generated 2 television franchises that ran for roughly 20 years. Fact 12. The film ends with title cards. Lucas wrote them himself. Each character gets one sentence. John Milner, the hot rod driver, the fastest on the strip, the one who lived entirely in that one summer night, is killed by a drunk driver in December 1964. Lucas set the film in 1962, the summer he nearly died in a car crash. The character who lived his unlived life, who drove the way Lucas once wanted to drive, dies 2 years later on a road at night. The last race in the film is the last thing Milner ever wins. The audience watches it not knowing that. The title card arrives after the credits have already started rolling. Most viewers don't see it coming. Fact 13. American Graffiti was nominated for 5 Academy Awards including Best Picture and Best Director. It won none. Best Director and Best Picture both went to The Sting, also a 1973 Universal release. The studio that had tried to reclassify American Graffiti as a television film watched its other film beat it at the Oscars. Lucas did not win. The film that proved him to Hollywood, funded Star Wars, launched 5 careers, generated 2 television franchises, and changed how Hollywood ends its credits, went home with nothing. Fact 14. After filming wrapped, the production tried to sell the Milner Coupe, the yellow 1932 Ford that had carried the film's most iconic scenes, for $1,500. It sat unsold for a year. When American Graffiti became a hit, the car became a promotional prop. After the sequel flopped, it was left on the Universal backlot unguarded. Parts were stolen. The interior rotted. In 1981, a collector bought it for $4,500 and restored it carefully, buffing the original yellow rather than respraying. He sold it in 1986 for $25,000. The car nobody wanted at $1,500 is now one of the most valuable film vehicles in existence. Fact 15. The film takes place over a single night. Lucas shot it in chronological order. Every scene, every car, every conversation, in sequence from dusk to dawn. The cast grew genuinely tired as the night went on. When Howard realized the exhaustion was intentional, that Lucas wanted them to look exactly like teenagers at 3 in the morning, he understood what the film was doing. The neon, the radio, the half-awake faces at car windows. None of it is nostalgic recreation. It is footage of people who were actually there, actually tired, actually on that street, trying to hold on to a night that was already ending. Fact 16. George Lucas believed American Graffiti would be his masterpiece. He told interviewers it was the film he was proudest of. Then Star Wars happened, and the question changed. Star Wars made George Lucas immortal. American Graffiti made him honest. One changed cinema. The other remembered the boy who almost didn't survive long enough to make either.